We get to it with the weekly headlines, and we start with the end of Gable Stevenson's Big Ten career, and we hate to say goodbye. No surprise, Stevenson winning easily in front of the home crowd this weekend in 18-3 Tech Fall. Here's his dual record, 48-0, 20-0 at home, and remarkably, 17 of those 20 wins with bonus points, maybe the greatest heavyweight of all time.
He is spectacular. The Iowa Hawkeyes bout at the ballpark, Globe Life Field down in Texas. They collide with rival Oklahoma State. Iowa wins it 23-9. They win 7 of the 10 matches. Those middleweights really stepped up, beginning at 149 with Max Mirren, Caleb Young, Alex Marinelli, Michael Kemmer. Those guys were fantastic. Iowa looking really good heading into their final dual meet in the Big Ten against Nebraska.
And getting dialed in, getting ready for the postseason. Same could be said for Michigan. You always have to love it when the seniors have big performances on senior day. Logan Massa, Stevan Micic, Kanan Storr, Miles Amin, all winning on senior day. Now, Michigan does have another duel. They finish non-con on the road against Central Michigan coming up this weekend.
How about the Wisconsin Badgers? They finished the conference schedule 6-2. Joe Zargo wrestling Dylan Duncan, All-American from Illinois. He ties it late in regulation, gets to his offense in sudden victory. An excited group of Badgers, Austin Gomez and Eric Barnett with falls. Wisconsin looked really good on Friday. A lot of momentum for Wisconsin.
One of the most pleasant surprises in the country. And let's talk about some individuals. Sebastian Rivera, now wrestling at 141 for Rutgers, in NCAA best 12th Tech Fall this weekend. He is 21-0 overall. And how about the all-or-nothing wrestling of King Sandoval? You look at his overall record, he's 14-12. Of those 14 wins, 12 have been via fall. That is also best in NCAA wrestling. Let's start with Gable Stevenson. He says goodbye in front of the Gopher fans. I mentioned his record, both in duels at home. He is a guy that right now, Shane, it's not unfair to say he is simply unbeatable. He has made really good wrestlers look like they don't belong on the mat with him. And I think it's safe to say we may never see another heavyweight like this in our lifetimes.
I don't ever expect to see it. He's just incredible what he's done for the sport, always taking pictures. He's a people's champion, guy of the people, pictures, autographs, and he's one of those guys that when you watch him do special things 20 years down the road, Rick, you'll remember. I remember when he won his Olympic gold. I was in St. Louis with my son watching a Braves-Cardinal game. I'll always remember that. This guy is a difference maker. So often you hear about once-in-a-generation type talent. It's safe to say Gable Stevenson, this is once in a lifetime. I agree. I don't ever expect to see anybody like him again.
And Shane, I'm fascinated by the fact that you started not talking about what he does on the mat, but what he could mean for the sport in the future, because it is bringing new fans. We've seen him before matches, getting signatures, signing stuff for young folks from away teams. The fact that the Iowa Carver Hawkeye crowd gave him a standing ovation when he left Carver Hawkeye earlier in this year. I think he is making this sport more mainstream, and that is great news for those who truly deserve the attention that they're getting in the world of college wrestling.
Absolutely. He's a difference maker. When you're a young kid, 8, 9 years old, you want to be Gable Stevenson. He's so inspirational. And then, of course, he goes out and he backs it up on the wrestling mat. It's been fantastic to watch him. Hard to believe when he came to Minneapolis, he was just 18 years old. He's still only 21. He came as a boy. He's leaving as a man.
It was really cool when we had Ryan Deacon on the show last week, and he was talking about Gable, and he just shakes his head saying it's impossible that a guy that big and that strong can be that athletic. That's why Stevenson is not just a favorite, but the odds-on favorite. Wouldn't just be a shock if he doesn't win the NCAA tournament. It would be a shock if anybody even tests him on his way to an NCAA championship. You mentioned Iowa and the win over Oklahoma State in the bout at the ballpark. Nice win for Iowa, 7 out of 10. And Shane, I think this is what the Hawkeyes needed in terms of saying to the rest of the country, we're separating ourselves right now. We're looking only at one other team as a true rival, that team being Penn State.
Iowa looks really good right now, and it's those middle weights. Max Mirren at 149 pounds, he wrestles really tough. Caleb Young at 157. These guys, it's 1 or 2 takedowns, but they're really tough on top. They're gritty and stingy. They don't give away easy escapes. They got the mat returns. Jacob Warner at 197 in that mix. His performances will go a long way in determining where they ultimately end up in Detroit. But Iowa right now, they got to feel really good about the way they're wrestling. They are staying true to themselves, really tough and gritty.
And of course, they're doing this without the all-everything 125-pounder Spencer Lee. But Spencer hasn't been forgotten. As a matter of fact, Shane, did you see this? On Jeopardy, one of the category questions was about Spencer Lee. You can read it right there. This is when you know that you are maybe not at the Gable Steveson level, but you're bigger than everybody else in your sport when popular culture is mentioning you in situations like this.
Everybody knows who Spencer Lee is. Couple-time Big Ten champion, 3-time national champion. He'll be back next year and try to become the first Iowa Hawkeye to win 4 national titles. That is pretty special when you look at that tradition-rich program in Iowa City.
Shane, I just mentioned the name Ryan Deacon. He and Northwestern are making a nice late move here. They've won 3 duels in a row, and when you have guys like Deacon and DiAugustino, guys who you know you can count on for at least 3 each and every week, this is a team that annually kind of sneaks up on folks when you get to the NCAAs.
We saw them last March in St. Louis. They finished 10th. Matt Storniolo's done a really good job, and they just got guys that figure out ways to win. You mentioned DiAugustino at 125. There's a handful of guys that he'll be battling with. I'm really impressed with Chris Cannon, although coming off a loss this weekend to Rayvon Foley at 133. He's really solid with high upside. Yaya Thomas was 3rd. You mentioned Ryan Deacon, and another guy to keep an eye on is at heavyweight, Lucas Davison. He might not be in that top tier of 4 or 5 guys, but he's in that 5 to 12 range. He's a guy that could score points at the national tournament. Northwestern's one of those teams, Rick, and we see it every year in the Big Ten. You might take 7th, 8th, 9th at the Big Ten championships and then be 10th in the country. That's Northwestern.
And quickly, we see Northwestern this weekend in a big-time duel against Purdue, one of only 2 Big Ten duels going on this weekend. There's some fantastic matches in that one.
I'm looking forward to this. Northwestern 3-4 in the Big Ten. Purdue's 4-3. Tony Ursulin's done a great job. They beat Minnesota this year for the first time since 2004. They beat Nebraska for the first time since 1985. And as you said, you got some matches, 3-4 toss-up matches. Who's going to find a way to step up and win those matches in their final Big Ten duel meet heading into the championships? These are going to be fun.
I got 157 Coleman Deacon circled for this weekend as one that I am certainly going to be watching. Just before we get to Shane's weekly mat return, I love the fact this has become a recurring theme. Former wrestlers, wrestling fans tweeting to let us know how important this mat return segment is. This from Mike McMullen, outstanding 4-time All-American at Northwestern, pointing out the fact that this segment is actually incentivizing guys to focus on the mat return. And I love the finish. Thank you for your service at Shane Sparks BTN.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for the shout out. You are a hammer in that top position, a Big Ten champion at Northwestern. Great to see it. I love this segment. It fires me up. And the reason being is we don't give away cheap escapes and we finish periods on top. We got some great mat returns this week. Let's roll the footage on this. We're going to start with Mickey Olster, 10 years old from Manhattan, Illinois. Couple of really good mat returns center of the mat. He's got it in his blood. You know why? This is Dan Gable's grandson. This guy loves tough wrestling. You definitely know that. Great stuff for most of the 10-year-old from Illinois. Here is Dom Solis from Maryland. He got a major decision against Rutgers on Saturday. Here's a good return right there on the edge. Finding a way again to make that major decision happen. Good work on top from Dom Solis. Our next mat return right here, Carson Hartzler of Ohio State. He's been great all year. Only 1 loss this season. This was against Minnesota on Friday night. Hartzler, just that 1 loss all season. Watch him in the Big Tens. Valentine's Day, let's give some love to the big guys. Christian Lance of Nebraska, he was fantastic on his feet, but he wants to go out in style. Give the people something to get excited about. Finishes with a couple of mat returns in that 3rd period. Lance victorious against Luffman of Illinois. More love for a heavyweight. Lucas Davison of Northwestern wants to finish the period on top. Wilton gets to his feet. Look at him explode and take him down with authority. Davison finishes that period on top, and he gets the major decision against Michigan State. But our winner this week is Lucas Byrd of Illinois. He's been doing this all season long, stingy in the top position, very good on his feet. Makes those takedowns stand, finishes periods on top. Lucas Byrd has been great. This was against Nebraska on Sunday. I'm really looking forward to watching Lucas Byrd at the Big Ten Championships. 18-1 on the season. Great work, Lucas Byrd. I love watching you wrestle. You never, ever give away those cheap points. A lot of fun to watch you Shane Sparks' bobblehead is going to Champaign. Treat it well when you walk out that door. Remember, wrestle tough, stay on top.
Michigan State's Caffey picked up not one, but 2 wins over the weekend and still has enough juice for a Big Ten Wrestling and Beyond interview. Cam, we appreciate the time, and I want to start there. Such a physical sport, especially at your weight at 197. So after going on Friday night, coming back and going again on Sunday, how much time does it take your body to recover, get back to the baseline you want?
Well, if you want me to be honest, I could even say that you're not really recovered by the second duel. So you get to take a little bit of time after, and it's nice, especially today, Valentine's Day, spend time with my girlfriend, just kind of chill, you know? It's all about recovery right now.
So, all right, you led me directly into the next question then. If you are chilling with the girlfriend on Valentine's Day, what were the gifts?
So I retroactively pay for her nails. So I kicked her a little bit of cash for that yesterday. And I think we're gonna make some steak and potatoes tonight.
Well
steak,
done.
potatoes, greens. Yeah.
You have any spot? You have a third
like
spot at the table for any extra company? I'm not that far from East Lansing.
Hey, drive on over.
I love it. But let's get back to wrestling because it's what you do best. I know you look at 197, you really look at the sport. I've kind of discovered it over the last 3 years. And regardless of weight class, there are guys that have such different styles, even though they're at the same weight class. So how would you describe your particular style in comparison to other 197s?
Yeah, so my style is, I mean, I can copy what everybody else says and say it's kind of weird. I want to say that I kind of take things as they come, so just depending on how my opponent's moving, you know, I'll kind of see what's opening up from there. But another big part of moving up from 84 is that I'm a good bit faster than a lot of these other 97-pounders, so I get to capitalize on that a lot.
It's a wide open class between yourself and Warner and Brucky and Dean and Schultz. You look at so many guys that could potentially win Big Tens, factor in the NCAAs. How do you look at that weight class as a whole?
I think that that parity within a weight class is really nice. It makes things really interesting for viewers. And also as a wrestler, I don't think it's really fun to have a clear number one on top. And if you're looking outside of the Big Ten, you've got a guy like Ferrari who won last year, and he'll be back again this year. Potentially, we'll see. But having that landscape where anybody could win, I think that makes for a much more fun NCAAs for everybody.
All right, let's have some fun because I've seen this slap back video go viral, this stuff that you guys are doing apparently in the wrestling room. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Can you explain it to me?
All right, so you've got a so you got a big oval there.
Yeah.
So you'll see how all around there's a bunch of little groups of 2 people, and it's almost like a duck goose, a duck goose with pain.
This looks like a more painful version of Duck Duck Goose than I've ever seen before in my life.
Yeah. So you see he's running. Whoever the guy is running needs to slide into the side of those 2 people on the mat. And once you do that, the guy on the other side of the 2 people gets up and starts running. And yeah, no, that's man, I'm happy I was not there for that that day. Usually we play with shirts off, so.
No, thank you. I know I invited myself up for dinner, but if slapback is involved, I take back that ask on my part. All right, Cam, we got about a minute left, so we're going to go to short time here. These are shorter questions that require shorter answers. So here we go. Question number 1. Better wrestling haircut, the afro or the mullet?
Afro, by far.
Now, so with that being said, what happened to the famous Caffey Afro Twitter account that basically has had no activity for a little while?
Man, I have no clue. I still don't even know who ran those accounts. I know nothing about those accounts, but they were the reason I started Twitter, because I was like, apparently my afro is represented on Twitter. I should probably be represented too. But no clue who ran those accounts. There was a rumor that Chase Saldate was running one of them, but I really don't know, because that was back when he was probably a sophomore or junior in high school. So.
All right, we're going to try to investigate and figure out exactly where that began. Toughest guy you've ever wrestled against, either at 184 or 197?
That's probably gonna have to be Miles Martin. I felt like I couldn't do anything with him. Either Miles Martin or Shakur Rasheed. Both of them, I felt like I couldn't do anything. Try as I might, I couldn't get to my attacks. Those are both real tough.
All right, we'll finish with this one. My friend Shane Sparks, co-hosting the show, loves to talk about Matt Return. So, Matt Return, overrated or underrated?
I think Matt returns are kind of underrated. You return somebody, not only is that putting a physical toll on them where they have to decide whether they want to actually get up and try again, but it's also putting a psychological toll on them because you return them to the man, they're like, man, I just spent all that effort. I don't know, like, what should I do? He's just going to keep returning me.
All right, Cam Caffey, Michigan State. We appreciate the time. Enjoy that Valentine's with your girlfriend. Thanks so much. Continued success. Look forward to seeing you at the Big Tens and the NCAAs.
Thanks for having me.